First of all, I think we have a very illustrious panel here, right from Mr. Dinesh Khara to Mr. Pant to Mr. Anuj. So I think we could probably best begin by a round of applause for them, given the kind of various competencies that they bring to this table. And so after a very insightful talk by Mr. Seth, actually I've run out of paper in terms of the notes which I was trying to take. So we tend to think in ink, but paper doesn't always cooperate with us in terms of the space which is available. But thank you so much, Mr. Seth, for such an insightful speech. If I could begin with, as I always maintain, as the moderator for this, if I could begin with Dinesh, it would be nice to just get a quick thought from each of the panelists here on what you took as one or two key takeaways from Mr. Seth's such an insightful talk. Mr. Dinesh, if you can begin from there.
We have two Dinesh on the panel. Anyhow, well, of course, I think I was very carefully listening to Mr. Seth's address, and in an industry like insurance, the focus on the customer centricity is something which actually has stuck into my head, and very rightly so. The trust and the fairness which is expected from this particular product, and if at all things can oscillate around the customer centricity, the life can become very easy also. Having said that, his focus in terms of leveraging technology for ensuring that the sector moves in tandem with how the country has moved in terms of digital, and also various other sectors have also evolved in terms of adoption of the digital. So I think it will be much in sync with the overall ecosystem, and probably it will ensure the growth of the sector at a much faster pace. This is something which has stuck into my head.
Thanks. Mr. Pant, I think I'll be more careful in using the first thing.
I think I felt very impressed and very encouraged what I heard just now, because the era of the coverage was huge. It was talking about customer centricity, but also not exactly worded, but the intent was on contract certainty also. The customers must exactly know what they are being offered. And the most touching part to me, having been an actuary, was the pitch for customization of the solutions, not only as products. So is every product or every solution that is it coming as a solution for the customers? That really will help a lot in terms of growth for them.
A lot to ask you on the customization. I think good that you mentioned this point. I think so. Thanks so much, Anuj. A quick thought on that, and then before.
From my perspective, thank you, sir. What clearly stands out is a very, very inclusive agenda. It is not one party versus at the cost of others. So obviously the customers and the pyramid is inverted. Has always been inverted, but you kind of very clearly said it again that for a moment, and not literally, but even if you don't focus on HNIs and ultra HNIs, but the tier 2, tier 3, the risk protection has to be paramount. What stands out for me is very beautifully the way Chairman sir mentioned about bringing in transparency in some of the experience matrices. And it's an irony today, what do customers buy insurance product based on? There is no, if somebody wants to buy an electronic equipment, there is a guarantee, there are performance indicator very clearly written. But for insurance, there is nothing written anywhere about an insurance company in terms of what is the turn on time, what is the settlement ratio, what is the rejection ratio. That clearly, you said it very clearly, sir. And I think you mentioned it, but I don't know how many people got it, sir. Very beautifully, subtly, you also gave us a mean to make the products more affordable. You very rightly you mentioned about keeping the costs in control, and the cost ratios that sir spoke of. It's embarrassing, I don't want to speak about those ratios again, but with those kind of cost ratios, clearly the industry cannot create products which are affordable and value creating. So these few things stand out in addition to what
I'll come back on that. Mr. Pant, actually, if I can begin from there. See, he mentioned while that LIC is other than LIC, and LIC also stands out for what it does. This point about digital transformation, reaching out to younger audience. We were discussing this earlier also before this. You launched earlier this year this DIVE, which is there, I think, Digital Innovation Value Enhancement. So it's almost been since Feb, almost close to a year now with this experiment. How do you think, how transformational it is, and do you intend to like take a deeper dive after this? What are some of the areas where you think, the message has gone across in the kind of audience which Mr. Seth referred to? And the younger audience today is quite low in patience, very socially informed as well, but with thin wallets as well, which is, I think, they also look in terms of lower costs. So quick thought on that.
I think yes, it's very relevant, and in the sense that traditionally it has been seen that insurance has been driven.
Can keep it a little closer to you.
See, typically it has always been seen in context of insurance, like it's like agency channel versus online channel, which has been seen as a LME to digital. But the real success of this, industry or for this business will happen when this digitalization is not only an alternate, but the mode for every channel to be used. Because the customer today wants the expectations. Chairman Sir was talking about whether it's a customer expectations, right, or evolving customers, and it's both. Because customers' needs are evolving and their expectation on technology are evolving. In that context, though LIC of India has been 70 years now, almost reaching 70 years this year, but we were the ones who brought the mainframe computers in 80s for the first time here, right? In this context of DIVE technology, we have already got into implementation part of it, both for the customer apps as well as for the agency channel. And what we want to do is that this should be value enhancement proposition for everything, and we are already into pilot stage. I'm very, and I'm leading that project. Within next 3 to 6 months, we'll make it full rollout plan, so that customers and the distributors both have 360-degree experience, and it should be a seamless experience for all our customers, leading not only in terms of for the business growth, but for the experience, the customer experience should be at a higher level.
Since it's about the growth and innovation, this session, if there's one thing which you say in terms of the learning, because Feb to now has been quite some time, one learning in terms of where you need to focus a bit more on, how you intend to, what, the top of your mind in terms of, one area jahan pe hame change karna hai abhi, what is it that you would want to do?
See, one thing which I've been talking to my, teams for recent times is that we have been looking through business procurement through distribution channel. I consider with a customer base of 280 millions, we need to look through business procurement through our customers' experience. And that is a mind change that we have to bring about. If we have a happy customer, if we have a long-lasting customer for long term, that should ultimately lead. In fact, I was talking to our team of distributors that when you make a sale, you are making one sales. When you are making the repeat sales to the customer, you are building a trust. But when that customer starts referencing you to others, you build a brand. So as a company, we are a top brand, but each one of my distributor has to become a top brand. So our focus is on largely on the customer servicing aspect of it, which should itself lead to larger business satisfaction, business procurement. So that's going to be.
Just to harbor a bit more on when the customer experience, I mean, is anything specific that you think you are looking at, wanting to change? Like customer experience is a good thing to look at, but whether in terms of, say, training of the people, gamification being used for agent training in an era of agentic AI, how do you intend to, look at there is a greater ecosystem change? So,
absolutely.
If one specific thing, because I don't want to harbor more on this point.
So on this project DIVE also, this utilization of agentic AI for the purpose of underwriting as well as claim experience. And what we want is a customer should have full flexibility, understanding, and 360-degree accessibility to the entire system. What we want is the entire customer, everything, all servicing should be available at the click of the button to the customers. And we have already implemented almost 3 lakh plus customers, because we are at pilot stage, are experiencing it, and we are getting very good value and feedback out of it.
Mr. Khara, this point about while all would be eager in terms of the recommendations on the insurance bill and whatever details you say, more than happy to receive all of it. We are always hungry for news. But finance minister actually mentioned about this 100% FDI. But beyond that, there seems to be definitely a serious thinking in terms of the part of the government to revisit the Insurance Act. But the way you are seeing things in the current context, how do you think, at least at a very broad level, how do you think what are some of the areas where you think it can make a difference? If not the details, maybe.
No, well, of course, the intent of having a 100% FDI is well understood in the context that as a country we are always attracting capital, and I think insurance is one sector which will need more and more capital in the days to come also. And having said that, I think there are a couple of things which can be thought of. Then one, of course, is when it comes to risk management, which is actually one of the major component which consumes capital. How can we improve the risk management? That is one of the areas which perhaps can be looked into. And today, with the availability of the analytics, the AI, etc., there is enough tools which are available. And of course, as a sector, this sector has got the past experience over the years. Since I come from the banking, I can very well say that when it comes to banks, they also deal with the risk, and when it comes to insurance, actually it is the right pricing of the risk is something which is very critical and which will probably hold the key for the success of the insurance companies, and also will create more and more value for stakeholders as well as conserve the capital also. So I think on that particular count, perhaps leveraging AI and also analytics can help the insurance sector in terms of managing the risk better. And also, they will be in a position to identify the cohorts. And when it comes to, reaching out to various customer bases, how can they actually manage the risk for the company as a whole? And likewise for the whole country also, how the risk can be managed. I think there is enough, the analytics has given enough tools. Earlier we used to depend only on the actuaries, but now even actuaries also can improve their assessment of the risk also and can do the pricing well. I think once we start doing the pricing better, then I think it will be a game changer. Perhaps even when it comes to the premium, even that can also come down. What Mr. Seth mentioned in terms of the cost of doing business, which is about 30-35%, and if at all it has to be brought down to about 19-20%, which is actually because the insurance sector is facing competition from the other sectors. Unless and until the cost of offering the services are reduced, there will be a challenge going forward. So I think even that can also be addressed. That is one aspect. And secondly, when it comes to a situation where if at all the insurance sector can offer the product for the complete life cycle of the entity, be it corporate, be it individual. So that is something, that is the other area which perhaps can be, I think it will probably happen. But yes, of course, as of now we have got journal and life. These are two separate segments. But yes, of course, there are experiences, though journal is a very short-term contract and life is a long-term contract. But nevertheless, both of them deal with the risk. How can we do the right risk pricing is very, very critical. So I think my sense is that going forward, adoption of technology will be something which will be very integral for the sector to grow, and also the kind of fairness which is expected from the policies. I would like to actually, I keep on saying this very often, that when it comes to insurance contract, leave aside individual, even large corporates also will not understand what insurance they bought. Because I have actually dealt with this question many times on the board. When we start asking our people, which all risks are being covered by the insurance, can anybody tell? People don't know that. So I think there is it's a need of the hour that when probably the way we describe the contract, leave aside the legal language of the contract. If at all it can be stated very clearly that X, Y, Z risks are covered, so much of the coverage is there, so much of premium is being paid, so much duration is being covered, in simple lines, if at all it can be stated, perhaps, you know, the ambiguity of the insurance contract will be taken away, and the fear which is there in the mind of the customers, even that will get addressed. My sense is that this is a lot of work needs to be done in this direction, but it's doable because at the insistence of RBI, now banks are required to give it to all their borrowers, that what are the key terms. It's a key term sheet, if at all it can be given in simple language. That will probably ensure that the adoption of the product becomes all pervasive.
Yeah, that's very important. Thanks so much. Mr. Anuj, as a HDFC, for example, and as a private entity, the example which I think Mr. Seth gave off with the postal PLI was very interesting in terms of, you know, that the ability to reach up to rural, and when government can do, he was thinking private perhaps. So some thought in terms of how you are, when this topic here is innovation, growth and innovation, some thoughts in terms of, you know, over the next year or so in terms of trying to expand the reach. And on the technology part, for instance, like LIC has its, has been experimenting with Dive. I mean, you have also here HERE there, where you, actually almost 2 years, I think, if it's been around. So then again, I spoke to some of the younger people in terms of, so an app being available, but the question is in terms of, kitna slow hai wo? Is there any glitch? Is there any, you know, how is the response time? How is the support? Those kind of questions also come in. So any thoughts in them? Because as a private entity, you would be much more, I would assume, agile experimentation, which was something element also touched upon in the address. So some thoughts there will help.
No, I think that puts extra pressure on me the moment you say as a private entity I'm much more agile. I certainly don't want to take that credit.
No, not much more agile. I'm saying much more amenable or open to it.
Of course. But let me speak about here first, and then I'll come to the how do we distribute. So here, sir, was an experiment which started 2 years back. And it interestingly goes back to the discussion that we were having in the speaker's room. How do we ensure that the customers or the users speak about an insurance company or think about an insurance company almost on a regular basis? Now, if we today see our interaction with the ecosystem is on an episodic basis. If car gets knocked, I come in. If somebody is falling sick, our interaction, so 25% of the car users experience an insurance company, 10% of health insurers experience an insurance company, and those who are not insured, for them, insurance company, they know beans about insurance company. So we started here 2 years back, and it's the only platform in the country which doesn't sell insurance. We've started doing insurance renewals because the users came and said, by the way, if I'm using here, if I'm your insured, allow me to do this. Now in 18 months, sir, glitches and all, I agree, you know, those things will happen. And by the way, the response was unprecedented, hence the glitches happened. In 18 months, close to 80 lakh customers, people are using here. 60% are non-HDFC ERGO user. And we will have close to 1 crore downloads and organic. Now, what does this do? And this is why I'm so passionate about this, you know, the whole, and with respect to the purist, you know, of insurance, the whole commoditization of insurance. What do people do? They're maintaining diabetes on here. They're learning breathing techniques. They're checking their pollution. They're paying their you know, challans, because in most states, in all the states, you don't get e-challans. Here helps you do that. They're connecting. So we created a patient-to-patient community where, you know, say a patient who has a terrible illness in the family, other than the doctor, they get in touch with somebody who's already gone through that. You know, chemo, knee replacement. So we created a patient-to-patient community. There is world's first patch-based ECG, which is available now in here. There is a doctor who developed in US, and Prime Minister invited him over to India. And he saw here's usage, it's available there. So my point is, what here does is first, it kind of changes the impression of an insurance company that it's boring, it's transactional, it's episodal. And you know what I said in the morning, and I'm absolutely convinced and passionate that the insurers can touch everybody's lives in at least a dozen ways on a daily basis. We don't do this. The moment, and I just hope Mr. Khara's report speaks about value-added services, but the moment value-added services come, Mr. Sama, see what can I do? Home insurance penetration is 0 in the country today. I don't have to sell home insurance. I'll say, I have today an ecosystem which can take care of your electronic equipments maintenance. It can take care of your, deworming of house. I can do all these services, but this is available along with the home insurance package. Suddenly you have a home insurance. So because if I try and sell home insurance, I'm too pushy in your face. The moment I say insurance, home insurance is also a, it comes as a part of the package along with health insurance. I can help you maintain your complete wellness life cycle and slip in health insurance along with it. So that's the potential of, what LIC is doing, what we are doing, and I'm sure some of our other colleagues are also doing. What are we doing, or what should we do to increase the penetration was your first question, and I inverted in my passion for here, I inverted the answering. Sir, I think the time has come when we have to create products which are more transparent, and Chairman Sir spoke about it. The products which are more simple, and the products which suit a particular cohort, if not specifically an individual. We today sell an health insurance policy, sir, which is applicable to a buyer in Bombay, is also applicable to a buyer in Bagpat in UP. It won't work. We have to have the capability, first of all, the intent to go down to the level where I start creating, pricing and distributing products to a particular cohort. Today, technology helps it.
But in this also, for example, as Chairman was mentioning, at some level it is felt that those who actually don't need a policy are the ones who are taking it. Paisa hai, they can spend it on their own, they don't need a policy. And at the lower end, they'll go for the government scheme, Ayushman, whatever. It's the middle where actually we need to get the message across and move from, let's say, selling to actually buying these policies. So I think if there are thought processes on that, it'll probably...
No, absolutely. So there is already a product for the missing middle which has been launched. We launched it on October 11th or 13th, if I remember. And you will see more and more such products coming. The only thing is the missing middle probably does not need only a hospitalization product. Missing middle probably needs a cover which takes care of their OPDs. Missing middle needs a product which takes care of their daily revenue if I'm in hospital for 3 days. And this missing middle product that we launched has all this. The only thing we have to still tie in is the network. How do I take care of OPD needs of missing middle or the entire country without letting slippages happen in the ecosystem? It's a sensitive topic. So we also need the care network, the hospital network to also come along with us and co-create these products. Okay. But let me assure you, on behalf of the industry, there is a very serious thought and work going on in addressing the missing middle, in also addressing the bottom of the pyramid.
Okay. Yeah. Mr. Pant, this point about, increasingly when we are looking at the future readiness, like for example, there is talk of this open architecture for agents, when they need not be associated with just one entity. We are moving in that era where actually we need to look in terms of, and also at a time I ask you this question because there is also the discussion always in terms of the way your portfolio is changing, par and non-par, some sense in terms of how you are looking in terms of future readiness. At a time like this when competition is going to get more intense, regulator is going to look at more digital emphasis in terms of, so everything moving digital. So a quick thought in terms of, let's say if we were to have a conversation a year from now, what would be one or two things which you think would be transformational, which LIC would want to put in place?
Yeah, actually reflecting upon, because these questions, these issues of growing competition, limited opportunities or the industry not growing enough, or what should be the trajectory. I was just trying to look into, these issues have been coming up again and again, and all these challenges remain. See, if you look at the start of this industry's privatization, inspects opening of the sector, the penetration level was 1.9% or so. Around 9-10, it went to the level crossing 5%. Today, the global GDP market penetration is 7%, India is around 3.8. It actually peaked up to a level of 5%, and the insurance, life insurance went up from 4.7. The point I'm coming to, why I'm coming. 13-14, it came down to almost 2.6%. 19, it went to 3.1, 2. What is happening is, one of the important extensions, if I extend from what the chairperson was talking about, how do we ensure that all parts of the wheel move together in order to achieve, and and looking beyond competition within the industry, how do we contribute to the overall economy and towards GDP? In fact, if I look at the growth of our AUM since nationalization 1956, it has been at the rate of 16% or so, 15 to 16%. And last few years, it has tapered down to 11%. Now, it cannot be, these goals cannot be achieved by simple, parts of the wheel like digitalization will not sort it. We'll have to work on the products, the processes, right? The entire ecosystem has to work around it. So I think, when we are talking about this open architecture, for example, there can be different perspectives at looking at it. Today, this, agency channel has grown. Our, almost we have added 45,000 agents in the last year, but the market share in terms of that has come down to 45%. There can be different perspectives. One perspective could be that whether, opening up this open architecture allows, agents to go across. I've worked in different territories. I've worked intensively in, Africa region also. And this talk of open architecture existed there. I was talking to the regulator there some few weeks back, they were there. There are opportunities and challenges. Like we say, the proof of the pudding lies in eating. I think the proof of policy is lying in implementation. In what is the framework around it? Because on one side, agency channel is a highly, intensive channel in which you have to spend a lot of time, energy to train them. We may not be satisfied with the quality of the training that we observe in our experiences, but no whatsoever, a lot of time, energy goes into it. Once we open it, the commitment, the mis-selling, and all those risks which can emerge out of it can be humongous. And as another concern which was discussed in the morning session was, how does the society perceive this business and this profession? So how do we balance out so that the customers get all the options, and again, another important point which was made out, not necessarily in order of shareholder management, the financial sector and the customers, but unfortunately, fortunately, decisions are made in that order only. See, the power of making decisions lies in that chronology only. So how to beat that, ensure that, but it is also very important as we talk about customer centricity, and that's truly through which the value should come to everybody. But in order to ensure that this industry grows, I think the profitability in the businesses will have to be ensured. Otherwise, however we open, even FDIs and all those things, the real money will flow when every stakeholder benefits out of it. So possibly the success of this game lies in low margin and high volumes. Now, how do we achieve it? How do we cut down on these expenses? Because everybody, we know expenses are high, but as an insurance company, we have actually reduced our expenses from 15% level to now 10% level. So, but that also sacrifices the top lines also. So now there is a balancing which has to be achieved. We are very sure that as an insurer, as a responsible insurer, our journey shall be towards profitability, but while ensuring the protecting the interest of the customers. So that is going to be our way of operations here.
Okay, Mr. Khara, your provocation on this, perhaps any thought on that will help. But I'm constantly looking at the watch as well. Other than your response to this, at a very broader level, when you look at the journey on the path to creating conditions for a more mature bond market, which is one area which has been occupying the mind of many people, because at the end of the day, a very infrastructure hungry country as well. We need depth there and all of that. So a quick thought on that perhaps will also help.
Sure. Thank you very much. Well, of course, when it comes to the kind of annual premium which is to the 12 trillion, I think it's a very significant number, and for a country like ours. But when we look at and also when it comes to life insurance, they have got the long-term liabilities also. But the fact remains that when it comes to investment into the bond or the corporate bonds are concerned, there are restrictions in terms of only AA rated papers, and that too it should be rated by 2 rating agencies. I think there is a need to revisit this, because I actually have looked into some of the empirical studies wherein I observed that over the period of time, the gap which used to be there between AA and A, it is getting compressed, and also the returns opportunity of generating higher returns in A is significantly higher. So I think, and also there are now tools available where the expected credit loss can also be established in various bond papers. So I think the sector's contribution in developing the bond market could be really exploited well, if at all these kind of restrictions be revisited. I think that will go a long way in terms of creating a right opportunity for investment for the companies. And perhaps, that kind of a return will also help the companies to reduce the cost of operation and also generate better returns for even the policyholders and the shareholders also. So I think, and we have seen that overall in the economy, the defaults have come down. There is a responsible borrowing happening, and when it comes to bond market, even we can get to see similar kind of a behavior there as well. So I think it's a high time then we should revisit these norms, and it can actually be a big support for the infrastructure creation in the economy.
Great. We are not even talking of the composite license and other elements which will add a lot of depth as well. So I think that time is up, and one round of applause to at least the speakers that we had. Thanks so much.